everybody, Vaping Vinny here again, and welcome back to Vaping Vinny Reviews. And I'm here with a hardware review for you folks. It's an RDA from Riscle Technology Limited in Sichuan, China, and it's the Pirate 2 King RDA. There's the box, and here's the RDA. It's a bit different when it wants to focus. There we go. It's a very different RDA. And yes, I've got it set on my squonker. That's where I found the best results for it. And where it seems most at home. Before we get up close and personal with the RDA, I'm also going to do a quick coil build, show you how I build my coils. If you're a bit heavy-handed like me, you might want to invest in something like this. It's my coil jig. I'll just show you that in a minute. The RDA was sent to me for the purpose of this review. That, of course, will not affect my views on the RDA. Right, first of all, I'm just going to quickly build. It's a single coil RDA. I'm using some 980 20 gauge round wire. I've got my 3mm bit to do my coil on. I'm just going to quickly make a coil just so you see how I make my coils. This is the Easy Coil jig, made by a friend of mine called Frank. It's around on Facebook groups all over the place. It's cracking. I love this. I've tried all others and this is my preferred jig. I'm just going to quickly make a 5 wrap 3mm core coil, which will give me about 0.13 ohm of a coil. 4, 5, and that is basically my coil made on there. I'll just snip it off. The only issue with this coil jig, which isn't for a lot of people, is there is a bit of wastage of wire, which people have moaned about, but hey ho, I like it. That's how much wire I waste, just that bit. And there is my finished coil. That will ohm as a single coil of about 0.13 ohm, and that's the coil I'm going to fit into this RDA in the close-up. I just wanted to do that just so people knew how I work and how I make my coils when I use my own coils. Obviously a lot of the time I use pre-made coils that people have sent me in to use for the reviews. I just wanted to show that, a little tutorial really, and to show off my handy little battle-worn, scarred, juice-soaked tool. The Easy Coil. I love this thing. It's great. You get all different gauges with it for the cores of your coils and everything. I just wanted to show that, just to show that I often use my own coils. Right, I'll get it down on the deck, I'll strip it out, and we'll have a close look at the RDA. Okay folks, before I do the build, here's a close-up of that top cap again. The Pirate King 2 RDA. Obviously you've got the skull and crossbones, some very intricate engravings, ship's wheel, some jewels in, and a very small airflow. Just remember the very small airflow on that side, and another small airflow on that side, and that's the top cap. Here's the deck. It's a postless deck with what's known now as the honeycomb airflow in the centre. Just let the camera focus. Hopefully it's not playing ball again. No, we're not going to get focused. It's a honeycomb just in here. Just in there is the honeycombing. There we are, now we're focused. Riscal actually say it's the World's first micro air holes design. No, it's not. A lot of companies are using what they're calling the honeycomb now. There we are, and there's the deck. We can see a lot better. Quite deep, about 3mm deck, deep deck all the way around, and obviously it's raised, so chances of getting leakage through the air vents are very, very slim. Now here's that coil I showed you I made earlier, ready to go in. There we are, 20 gauge 5 wraps, around a 3mm diameter. Pop them in. Get my battle worn tweezers and give them a good push in. Handy little tool that comes with it, which I don't particularly like, but I couldn't find my Allen key. And yes, the grub screws are Allen key, not flatheads, so be very careful if you get the RDA with stripping the grub screws. I'll just check the box actually. You get 2 spares, and obviously the O-rings and everything as you'd expect, as well as the squonk pin, which I'm obviously utilising, and an ordinary 510 pin. Let's get these legs pinched tight. Just remember with the Allen key grub screws, with tightening, not to over tighten and restripping them. Does help if you use the right size Allen key though, folks, as I quite clearly wasn't doing there. There is one in. Let's turn that round. It's quite a tricky little deck, because obviously the legs have to go round that honeycomb bottom airflow. It can be slightly problematic. You end up with really quite long legs. There we go. Let's see if the camera wants to play. There we go. Now I'll just manipulate that into position over that airflow, like so. Be a lot easier on the deck. And you must check that your legs are not catching the airflow design. It's quite a tricky build, really, if I'm completely honest with you folks. It's a fiddly little bugger. There we are. Just need to watch those legs. Off there. And off there. There we go. And you'll see I've got the coil incredibly close to that honeycomb airflow in there. Let me show you it properly. Come on, focus please. There we are. And there's that homemade coil. Sat there quite proudly. Really, really low on the honeycomb airflow. Yeah, right. I'm going to do something slightly naughty, and I would not advise doing it, but I'm going to pulse this coil on my mechanical squonk, but the battery is really quite low. That is why I'm doing it. I do not advise pulsing on mechanical devices, but I know what I'm doing apparently. Just give it a strum, and that's lovely and even already. There we are. That's how you want your coils to be going. nice and even. Be very careful if you do this on a mechanical device. I do not advise doing it. Like I said, the battery is quite low now, which I'll be changing and replacing for the rest of the review. Anyway, right, cotton. Cotton I'm using currently is Cotton Gods. I found it quite good as an all-round cotton in RDAs as well as RTAs. Let's wick it up. Still a bit warm in that coil. Skizzers. Trim that off there. Just fluff out the cotton god. I'm not going to thin it, I'm just going to fluff it out so it's nice and wide and absorbent, and the same with that side. And then feed it around the deck slightly, because there's a whole load of deck there, and this is how I found the best way of getting the juice to the coil. I'll just show that it's all around the honeycomb airflow, just like that with this RDA. I'll do the same with this side. All the way around. I'll just get a bit of the juice I'm using some Apple Miser from Brews Brothers. Nice apple flavoured juice. Just dump this cotton down a bit, it's a bit wild. And juice it up. Obviously the bottle's already full of the juice anyway. Just go steady over the coil. And there we go. Give it a quick port. Lovely jubbly. I'll bring it back up top and we'll have a vape, and I'll give you my final thoughts on the Pirate King RDA. And we're back up top, folks, with the Pirate King RDA 2 from Riscle Technologies in Sichuan, China. And there's the box again. Just say about the bag, the spare bag does come with 2 grub screws. Obviously you've got the 2 510 pins, a squonk pin and a normal solid pin, and a plethora of O-rings as you'd expect. It's a 24mm RDA, and yeah, it's not going to be to everyone's taste. The engravings all around the side of it and everything. That to me isn't the big issue. The 2 biggest issues I have with the RDA is, one, that build deck with the honeycomb airflow design. It's a bit fiddly to build on. You have to get the legs arced out wider to go around the raised honeycomb bit. It could do with being a bit lower or something, the honeycomb airflow bit underneath it. But again, that's not my biggest issue with this RDA. For me, it's the airflow. It's very, very restrictive airflow. I'm talking, it's tight. For sub-ohm vaping, it's really, really tight. I actually used a 1.6 ohm single coil in it and used it as a mouth to lung RDA, where it's slightly more practical to use and to vape, but it is supposed to be a sub-ohm RDA. Yeah, 24mm. It's just, yeah, it's incredibly restrictive. I'm just looking for the size of the ear holes on this leaflet. I know I've seen them. I measured them and can't remember. It's on here. Yeah, it's gone. There we are. The airflow, the airflow holes, they're 2mm wide at the widest bit, and it's just really, really tight. Me personally, my personal preference with an RDA, I like a nice airy RDA, like the Apocalypse, like the Bonza. I like a good airflow. It's just really, really restrictive. Like I say, it is. You can use it as a mouth to lung RDA. I don't particularly vape mouth to lung myself very often anymore. Very rarely, in fact. Other than that, flavour wise, it's good. Obviously, you'd expect with such a restricted airflow, it is quite flavoursome. And it's really getting the apple popping off the Bruce Bubbles Apple Miser. It's just, yeah, too restrictive for my liking. And the sub on vapor, I mean, it's just too restrictive. I can get on with it, and things like that, but it's just a bit too tight, a bit too restricted for my personal vaping style. But it does produce good cloudage, and it does produce good flavour. I'd just like to see the airflow a bit bigger, or less restricted. Perhaps the honeycombs are too small on that airflow bit in the middle. I'm not entirely sure what it is. It's just way too restricted for my personal vaping style myself. As for the looks, like I said, it's not for everyone. If you're into pirates, the whole Pirates of the Caribbean and things like that, great. There is a mod that's going to match the RDA, which looks pretty crazy as well. But both of them together, it could be a good match. It's just the airflow for me is just a little bit too restricted for my personal style. And again, the build deck is fiddly, really fiddly, with the raised honeycomb airflow for the bottom airflow and the legs of your coils. It's not something for a beginner to build on, that's for sure. But flavour wise, I can't knock it. Cloud production wise is great. Again, my ventilation is letting me down. Yeah, it's a different RDA. It's a very different RDA to what I'm personally used to. I've not particularly not enjoyed vaping with it. I have used it quite a lot actually. But yeah, there we go. The Pirate King 2 RDA from Riscle Technology in Sichuan, China. If you like a bit of a restricted airflow RDA, give it a whirl. Thank you very much for watching, folks. That is it for today. I will be back very soon with a juice review, and then another hardware review next week, and another juice review next week, hopefully. Thanks all for watching, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye bye for now, folks.